So it is 5:34-ish, and I'm calling this meeting to order. First, a reminder that meetings of the Select Board are meetings conducted in public. They are not meetings of the public. Nonetheless, members of the public shall be afforded reasonable opportunities to express opinions about matters conducted by the Select Board so long as order is maintained. The rules for public comment are, at the conclusion of a Select Board discussion on an agenda item, but before any action is taken, there may be 10 minutes afforded to public comment. Comments made by the public must be addressed to the chair, to the Select Board as a whole, and not to any individual members of the Select Board or members of the public. Members of the public must be acknowledged by the chair before speaking. If a member of the public has already spoken on a topic, they shall not be recognized again until others have first been given the opportunity to comment. Order and decorum shall be maintained throughout the meeting. Personal, impertinent, threatening, or profane remarks will not be tolerated. For those who are participating via Zoom, please note that chat is not an appropriate avenue for public comment. All public comments must be made verbally when acknowledged by the chair. Please silence all cell phones, and a reminder to all that this meeting is being recorded and may appear on the internet. Are there any adjustments to the order of the agenda?
I have one.
Okay.
So minutes, approval of minutes is December 11th and December 18th. January 2nd minutes are not complete yet.
Okay. Anybody else have an adjustment to the order of the agenda? We don't have any Select Board members online, right? Nate said he wasn't feeling well and couldn't make the meeting. Okay, so next is Select Board comments or remarks. Does anybody on Select Board have anything to say?
I'd just like to comment that personal circumstances have forced me to attend meetings by Zoom for some cycles now. And I gotta say, the picture isn't bad, but the sound's terrible.
Okay.
Because of the placement of the microphone, I think you're always audible. And as is Karen, but other people making comments, it's very hard to pick up.
In the room? How about the?
Yeah, and it's pretty much a lost cause out there. I don't know if there isn't some technology we can get that would improve on that, but in terms of people trying to attend the meetings or even observe the meetings from afar, it's a mixed bag. You can see what's going on, but it's very difficult to hear.
Okay, so can you hear, like, from your seat, can you hear? Or?
Well, I wasn't here, so
Well,
I was never talking.
I mean, from, like, say, Nate, when Nate was talking, or?
Yeah, Nate's soft-spoken, so that's also an issue of just speaking up.
Can we have somebody on Zoom verify or not that you can hear Fletcher, or whether it's bad, or Meg?
I can hear Fletcher, I can hear everybody.
Okay. Can you say something?
Do you want me to say
No,
something?
I want,
Ann Carey is in the audience.
can you hear that?
And I can hear Ann just fine. Hi, Ann.
Hello.
Okay. Well, maybe it's.
Okay, and I'll testing. This is Peg Alden.
Yes? You can't hear Peg.
I can hear Peg.
Okay. All right. I think there probably is something. I mean, there is technology out there. One thing that we've been discussing informally is to get a more formal microphone for the public to talk into. So that's one thing. The town of Brattleboro, everybody has their own individual mics. We could go that way. It's more expensive, more technology to go wrong, you know. So, but point taken. Definitely want everybody to be able to hear us. So maybe that's something we can talk to BCTV about too. Not right now, but.
And I ought to look at it from my end. I mean, I did try both headphones and speakers, and of course, you know, I do have hearing aids in both ears, so that's also part of the challenge. But I often have difficulty knowing what's going on.
Okay. That's good to know. So we can think about that. is specifically, obviously specifically the sound. Because we could hear you just fine, so that's good.
We don't have an owl, or we do have an owl?
The library has an
The
owl,
library has an owl.
but I don't know if we can run an owl with BCTV. Because the owl picks up everything
Yeah,
and it swivels all over the place, so.
it's good for when you don't have somebody filming, but it's not.
Right.
It's not for, yeah.
I think Westminster's been using an owl, and the Bellows Falls TV also does their video, so.
And I've seen their video and I'm not impressed.
Okay.
Well, maybe they just need to pump up their acting skills.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually want to put a pin in the comment about some kind of table, whether there's a microphone or not, but a place where people in the public who are speaking to us can put their papers down and talk to us properly. I think it's really hard to expect public, especially when they're giving reports and things like that, to be able to stand here and do it without any place to put
Yeah.
stuff down. So I would put priority on getting a lectern or something that people can use when they're trying to
Well, if we're gonna
present.
talk
I know
about
the
the
town
setup,
hall.
I have a problem sitting here
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
And you get the profile.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna continue doing this because I am going to address the board,
Yeah.
but I feel bad because
Yeah.
I'm not addressing the community, you know?
And we'll be able to address this in a different way when we get a new town meeting, but it's a little ways down the road.
Yeah.
I mean,
Renovation.
a new town hall renovation.
Yes.
not a town
Yep.
hall, but yeah.
I've been looking at the room and it definitely, we need to change something.
Yeah, I mean, the setup's better than it was when we had
Yes.
that big long table. Everybody was sort of like this all the time.
Yeah,
Things are evolving.
Mm.
We'll make it even better.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah. I also second some kind of permanent place for people to be, because I'm always doing this, and the camera has to be somewhere, and often people are sitting right behind
right.
them. So
I'm thinking about shifting those over there,
okay.
but I gotta talk to Brian to see if there's gonna be any interference if these are on that side.
All right.
So, okay.
So
And what problem would that solve?
Because then I can get rid of this, we can shift a little bit and maybe he can come over here, I don't know. And then a podium over there and then he can swing.
something. Okay.
And I'm sitting in the back, or he can do
You
Full
get some
180.
back. Okay. All right. Lots of different options.
yes.
I think we should make sure that the sound is good first. Let's
Right.
work on that one first. Are there any other comments from the select board? Moving on to the approval of minutes. Was everybody here at both meetings?
No.
Okay, let's do it as a separate. So can I hear a motion to, approve the minutes of December 11th, 2024?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of December 11th, 2024. Everybody was there that day,
Yes.
so.
Yes.
Okay, so, any changes or questions or additions? This was a while back, so.
Right. No.
I don't have any. Anybody else? Alright, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Can I hear a motion to approve the minutes of December 18th, 2024? That was a special meeting.
Seconded.
Second, okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of December 18th, 2024. Any comments or questions there? No? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Next up is the warrants to the treasurer of December 27th, 2024 and January 10th, 2025. Can we do that as a slate, Karen, or do we have to do them separately?
Let's do them separately,
Okay.
yes.
Well, we can make a motion to hear both of them, right?
Yes.
So can I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve and execute the warrants to the treasurer upon completion of review for both dates.
Okay.
Seconded.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve and execute the warrants to the treasurer upon completion of review for December 27th, 2024 and January 10th, 2025. Karen,
So payroll warrant dated for December 27th, 2024 in the amount of $26,133.29.
any other questions about the payroll for that week?
Anything unusual in there, Karen?
No.
Moving on to accounts payable,
Accounts payable,
very small.
December
Very large.
14th. Yeah, December
Very
14th
short but large.
through December 27, 2024, in the amount of $1,512,247.59, and this warrant did contain the second payment to the school district.
Okay.
And that is the bulk of your warrant.
Is the county sheriff's, oh boy, it's not where I haven't even gotten to the meeting yet. Is the county sheriff's, is that the assessment or is that our contract?
This is a different look for me. I'm like, it's gonna be the contract.
Okay.
CCI. MVP is the new rates,
Okay.
and where was that? Oh, and VLCT property and casualty, those are the new rates as well.
Those came in, those are the new rates even though it's 24?
Yeah, because they go calendar year.
Okay.
Which is, yeah. And that is the sheriff's contract, yes.
Okay.
Um,
Any other questions for this accounts payable? Okay, moving on to the payroll for,
January 10th,
Yep.
2025, $22,327.51. A little bit smaller than the last one. Not as much overtime for the highway department. Not as many fire and EMS either.
I guess that's a good thing.
Right.
Okay,
And you all set?
I'm all set. Is everybody else all set?
Accounts payable, December 28th through January 10th, 2025, in the amount of $56,308.01. These are the kind of warrants I like. They're nice and small.
And yet really longer.
Yeah.
More things on it for less money.
So Cargill is our salt. You'll see on there, there's 3 invoices for $11,215. So they're stocking up. And see what else is on here. Nothing.
Thomas Wagner land survey, is that for the town hall project?
That is for the boundary survey, yes.
Boundary of what?
Town hall property.
Ah,
The flags are out there. When they get the report together, they will present it to the select board. So, I'll keep you posted on that.
Waste management of Cheshire is
Where are you seeing that?
last one, all the way above.
Waste management, that's the library. So, I don't know why they have, I think it's all going out of New Hampshire now, right? I could be mistaken, hold on a minute. Yeah, it's waste management and it's the library for their garbage and
Okay.
yeah, these bills are not very detailed. Curb service recycled materials. Of course, there's, energy surcharges and recyclable material offset charges.
That's not for 1 month, is it?
Curb service is $372.63. Offset is $26.22, and then the energy surcharge is $51.12.
So why are they using them?
Is that for a month, or is that for, can't be
Yeah.
1 month,
Yes.
$450?
Mm-hmm.
What do we pay per dumpster per month? The company we use.
The library's independent of,
Right, I know, but- Just looking at-
that's a conversation, we can have with the trustees.
I mean, they're independent to some extent, but if we're paying for it, then I think that's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
So our good enough for the rubbish removal bill, is that for 2 dumpsters? Is that fire station and, I don't know what you get here.
So we just get recycle here.
Okay.
Yes, it's a dumpster at the fire
Fire
station
station, town
and
garage.
then, yeah,
Sewer
so,
plant?
no.
No.
So just the highway department. So, and it's cardboard, so it's recycle and garbage.
And that's for 1 month with this right here,
Yes,
what we're paying
yes,
for 3 places.
yes.
Okay. That might be a discussion with the library. Unless the trustees are paying us back for that money. That does seem a little for one location.
I will have a talk with, the library director.
Who's
I don't know who it is. Guess.
Guest, can you do you have a question and can you identify yourself?
Is it Janice?
Might be. We have a hand up with a person whose name is Gast. Okay, we're not, okay.
Are they still there? Because that makes me a little nervous.
No,
Still there.
they're still there, the hands not up. Okay,
Alright. Their hands back up.
okay.
Sorry, it took me a moment to figure the unmute on my phone.
Okay,
The date parameter's on the front page. I think it's for a quarter. I just wanted to correct it. The date parameter is on the front page.
Oh,
That
Kim.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't.
Couldn't you tell by the ski?
No.
Just kidding.
But yeah, I just wanted to correct that. Sorry.
What do you mean? I don't.
The date parameter on where?
For the bill.
Oh,
It says the service dates.
January through March
Yeah.
31st.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
All right.
It's a little more than good enough, but it is a quarter.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Guess.
I've outed myself now.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. It still might be worth talking to them about why they're, I mean, it seems like if we had more with one company, we'd get a better discount, but maybe that's why it would still be a good idea to talk to them about it. All right, does anybody else have any questions or
All right. Put this back.
comments about this? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving on to the fire and EMS status report.
So you do have one in your packet. I don't know if there's anyone online. Billy Strauss, are you out there?
I don't see him.
I see Lynn.
Lynn,
So I did
is that?
Hi.
Hi.
It's Lynn. Billy has a session tonight and isn't here, so it's just me listening.
Okay.
Okay. So in your packet, I did request a report, and Evan Martin was able to put this together for us. So this is from December 11th through January 7th. Total fire calls 7, EMS calls 21, co-responses, motor vehicle crash, etc., 7. This report also is online in the packet for folks who are zooming in.
Okay.
And mutual aid given 1 to Dummerston for the month. So 35 still, it's a big number. I mean, if you figure, it's 1 a day anyway. And we know that it's not just 1 a day, so. No calls to the private schools, which is good.
Just one.
Well, 2 to, yeah, okay, sorry.
They
Sure,
were on
Lambert.
vacation for most
Yeah.
of this
Yeah.
time.
Nothing was happening.
Students were gone.
Yeah, excuse me, so 2 to Landmark fire calls, no EMS though.
Because no,
Because nobody was there.
Oh, right, they were on vacation.
they were both mechanical issues.
And EMS had training, and they have training coming up, January and February. So that is the report.
Okay. Any questions about?
Yeah, and it's super clearly laid out. Thank you. I wonder if it's reasonable for us to also get some information on the regular report about how we're doing with being up to speed with reporting, other things other than just calls.
Recruitment too, retention and recruitment.
Yeah, just so that we have a bigger picture.
So right now I have one person pulling this data together for the board,
Right.
and that person doesn't have a full-time job. I'll do my best to
Right.
get additional data.
Can you give us, is that data that you have that you can report on, or,
Possibly.
okay.
Possibly. I can access ESO,
Right.
but it's not user-friendly, and I wish I could just print a report out of there, but we haven't figured that out yet. But we will.
Right, I just wanna name that as one of the issues, that we're trying to resolve with, getting done at the fire department. So just wanting to get a sense of how well are we doing on that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Concern too. I'd call it a concern, not an issue.
A concern.
Yeah,
Are you concerned?
update,
Are you concerned?
an update.
Okay,
I can get you an update though, Peg.
yeah.
I can add a little bit to this.
It just gives us a little bit of a fuller picture.
Yeah, I mean,
About-
I'd be interested in how many people are
There's at
being
least,
recruited, how many people are being retained, how many people show up at calls, that kind of thing.
I can give you that number.
Okay.
I do want to make one other comment. At Monday's meeting, the Putney Volunteer Firefighters Association did hand me a check in the amount of $2,000 for the purchase of 2 radios that they're mobile radios that go inside of a vehicle. So I just want to say thank you very much to the association for that contribution to the purchase of those radios. It was not too long ago that they also contributed $10,000 for the life pack. So it helps a lot, and I appreciate what you're doing.
That's good, that's great, that they're definitely able to contribute that.
Yes.
There are comments on the board about the fire and EMS status report. Any comments in the room? Any comments online? Hearing none, let's move on to the town manager's report.
I do not have one this evening.
All right. Nothing happened in the last.
No, a lot happened. I just didn't have the time
to write
to,
it.
yeah,
Okay.
put one together.
Yeah.
So it'll be longer next time.
Okay. Fair enough. Moving on to boards, committees, and commissions. Putney Fire and Rescue Advisory Committee. That's got Peg's name on it.
Since last we met, we had another meeting of the advisory committee on Monday. We are moving towards writing our report that will come back to the select board. What to say, we will have one more facilitated meeting, and then probably another meeting or so or 2 to finish up that report, and hope to get the report back here pretty quickly. One of the issues that we talked about, which will come up in the report, but it went from our meeting to the association meeting, so I think it's good to mention is that in the task force meeting, the advisory committee meeting, there was discussion about naming the fire department in such a way that it takes into consideration the emergency medical aspects of what's happening at the fire department. So we went to, that was brought up at the association meeting and a little, right afterwards, and that was a good discussion with the association folks, and they were unanimously, it seemed, in agreement that a name change is appropriate, and they're going to mull over what ideas they have for changes, and but I think we can expect that to be coming as a recommendation from the task force.
Okay.
Yeah. So if people have opinions about that, and you're part of the association, direct your opinions that way. And if you have opinions about it and you're not part of the association, you could direct it our way when it comes up, yeah.
Okay. Are there comments on the select board about the Fire and Rescue Advisory Committee? Work so far, are there comments in the room? Comments online? Okay, moving on to Select Board New Business, which is the R.H.R. Smith final audit results. Samantha Ruggles is here to walk us through those. Samantha?
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, I'm not going to turn my camera on just yet because I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Yeah. Do we have
Can we do that, Brian?
If not, that's totally fine. I can kind of walk you through if you have your financial statements in front of you.
we're getting there. It's just a technological thing.
There we go.
Thank you.
Can you share your screen?
This guy.
Are you able to?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. All right, can everyone see my screen?
It's blue.
There
we go.
Okay.
Okay. Just took a second. All right. Okay. So, just to introduce myself, I know I've spoken to you guys a few times, but my name is Samantha Ruggles. I'm one of the team captains, audit managers at R.H.R. Smith. And I have been working with the town of Putney for, I don't know, how long has it been, Karen? How long have you guys been with us? 5 years now, probably?
Yeah, we're going on 5 years, Samantha.
Yeah, I think so.
Happy.
Okay. Right? Okay, so to start off, I'm just gonna kind of take you through some of the key highlights of your financial statements. I'm gonna go over anything that I feel is of importance to kind of clarify, and then any questions that you guys have, we can chat about. So to start off, you guys were issued what we call an unmodified opinion, and that is the highest opinion that we give out. It means that we believe that the financial statements are accurate and fairly stated in results of the town. We issued you guys no management letter comments, so we had no recommendations. It is very clear to me that the operations in the town office regarding internal controls around finances is outstanding. Kim, I should give herself a pat on the back. She has done an absolutely outstanding job jumping into the role that she has. And, you know, I fully believe that she'll only get better with time. So, you know, obviously there was some corrections that need to be made, some adjustments, but that's really not uncommon when we're transitioning in the treasurer's position. But you guys should be very thrilled with the work that Kim and Karen are both doing in the town office. All right. So I am going to start off with probably the most important, which is your general fund balance. And if anyone can't see this and you need me to blow it up a little bit more, just let me know.
Maybe also tell us what page you're on so we can follow along.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're looking at it on paper, it's on page 19.
Okay, thank you.
And is there a way to get more full screen?
I can zoom in as much as I need to. I can zoom into the numbers that I'm going to focus on.
Far end, I'm not sure. It's not quite full screen. So
That's less than full screen.
that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all right. We'll make it work.
Okay. So you guys, for your general fund, just to kind of give you a reference, the first column here is your general fund, and the second column is your highway, which are the two that I'm going to kind of focus on because those kind of drive the everyday operations of the town. So your general fund balance at the beginning of the year came in at $359,572. And you'll see right here where it says previously presented and then error correction. I will go over that at the closer to the end of my presentation because there's a couple other areas where you may see that. So But so you guys started in with 359,572 and ended at 557,579, which is a roughly about a $189,000 surplus, so an increase of your fund balance. From our kind of analytics that we do on our side, the contributing factors to this were overages in areas such as your bank interest. The bank interest that you guys received this year based on last year was significantly greater. Your pool memberships and fees went up. You got more in current land use. And then obviously property taxes, depending on how your property tax rate kind of fluctuates, you received a little bit more in that as well. Other factors that contributed to that is underspending in certain areas, such as fire and EMS operations, the Putney Landing, and a grants manager. All right. So with all that being said, and I know that I've talked about it in the past, and Karen and I kind of talk about it every year, is this idea of the health of the town and the health of your fund balance. And we've always kind of used the 30, 60, 90 day rule. That also kind of translates into percentages and to 6, 12, and 24%. So we look at where your fund balance lands in terms of how much of your next year's budget that fund balance is. So if we're looking at the ending fund balance for the general fund of 557, you guys, that fund balance is about 26% of your FY25 budget, which is outstanding. It's exactly where we would want you guys to be. So that is, you should be very happy about where that stands. I know that you guys are currently in the process of instating a fund balance policy, which is wonderful. So hopefully, that will only help you kind of increase your fund balance, keep some money put away for, projects and all that kind of stuff. So I think you guys are really on the right track with that. As far as your highway fund, you guys came in with your highway fund at 143,351 and ended at 277,790, which is about $134,000 surplus. And again, primary factors contributing to that were the underspent of retreatment, winter maintenance, and employee salary and benefits. And again, for same thing with the general fund, kind of that percentage, the highway fund is sitting about 20% of its FY25 budget, which is, again, probably exactly where we would want it to be. Excuse me, sorry, I'm getting over a cold, so forgive me. All right, let's see. So here kind of is where you can see for the budget versus actual, kind of where those overspend and underspend and is in terms of both highway and general fund. Just as a reference point. As far as, capital assets and debt, you guys didn't incur any new debt this year. And there was I don't think there was any, there was a land purchase. Karen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe?
Yep.
Yep, and then I think a couple pieces of equipment between, government, the general fund, and then, your water sewer funds. All right, so restatements. So this is what I'm talking about when I am referring to that error correction. So a restatement for us is a correction to the financial statements and it could be for a lot of different reasons, but for this reason and for you guys in particular, one of the biggest areas is the ARPA fund. And it's not an error, specifically for the ARPA fund, it's not an error. But what it is per our guidelines, ARPA can't show a fund balance on your financial statements. So we have to restate it, and present it as deferred revenue. So we have to act like you haven't actually received that revenue yet. And so that's going to be a change that you'll see. And I wish I would have bookmarked that specific page, but I didn't. But you'll see on there that your ARPA fund will not show a fund balance. Don't be alarmed. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, of course. Oh, I think it's up here, actually. Yeah. So your ARPA fund is not going to show a fund balance. I don't want you guys to be alarmed. If you look at the deferred revenue, that's what you have left to spend. It's just the way that we have to present it. So I just like to point that out to people because it's been a common confusion amongst. Some other areas for restatements this year were for capital assets. In years past, and with previous treasurers, the town of Putney has maintained their own capital asset schedules and depreciation schedules. And over the past, I think, year and a half, maybe, we've shifted over and we actually provide a service. And we have a completely separate team that manages clients' fixed assets. So we maintain the list and your depreciation schedules. And so in the process of kind of taking everything that you guys have had and moving it onto our software, there are just some things that we've kind of corrected to make sure that those lists are as accurate as possible. And then the last thing I want to touch on is your reserves. So your total reserves are sitting at 127, excuse me. And the primary contributors of that is highway capital reserve.
Hey, Joanne, you were on page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Page 22.
74.
24.
74. Sorry about that. I get talking and I forget.
24.
Okay. 74.
All right, we are now all
All right.
same page.
Okay.
So like I said, reserves are sitting at 531,127, and the primary contributing, the biggest ones here are your highway capital reserve, your general fund capital reserve, and sidewalk maintenance. But all your reserves are fairly healthy. So I'm very pleased to see where these all are at.
What do you mean by healthy? What determines the health of a capital reserve fund?
It's more just kind of like an opinion. Like if you guys are putting money away. So if you look here and you can see where it says like transfer in. So you guys are actively making an effort to replenish and to put money aside for your capital reserve funds to have for certain uses. And so when we see that, it tells us that, you guys are making the effort to put that money away, to save it for whatever purposes you need to save it for. So that's how I would define, that's how I kind of assume that it's healthy.
Okay, thank you.
So that's the end of, I don't need the screen up anymore. So if you guys have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for Samantha on Selectboard? Any questions in the room? Any questions online about the financial audit?
Yeah, I had sent you folks the audit electronically about, a week ago?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I want to follow up on our discussion from last week about the 90-day reserve, because we are talking about taking back some of that, giving back some of that money to the taxpayers this year.
Correct.
So, do you want,
Look at that.
Samantha, if, how much are we planning to do? 180?
No, 100,000. So Samantha, we're proposing to take $100,000 from the general fund balance and to offset the taxes for our next budget season.
Okay, so for 26.
6, yes.
Yep, okay.
And so does that still jive with the 90-day reserve that you're, it was 90 days, right? That we should be saving for?
Yeah, and that's really just, that's not like a hard and fast rule. It's not like there's no statute, there's no law saying you have to have that. It's something that we just kind of look at to say, because, and to kind of give you the explanation as to why is because you guys are on since you guys vote on your budget so early, and God forbid your budget doesn't pass.
Right.
The purpose of that and kind of the mentality of it is that we want to know that you still have funds and you still have funds available to spend in the event that your budget doesn't pass. So there's no really hard and fast rule to say you have to have 90 days of reserve or of a fund balance at the end of every year. It's just really kind of a guideline, kind of saying like, this is where you want to aim towards.
Okay. I think you just answered my follow-up question, which was what would constitute an emergency? And I guess that would be that, I mean, that's not an unreal scenario. So
Right.
Yeah, and that's really the biggest kind of scenario that we present it to with clients is, I mean, you guys are a town, but I just think about, I mean, last year I had probably 5 or 6 schools that voted on their budgets 3 times.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just that thing. It's one of those things that you just have to keep in mind, especially nowadays, that God forbid that happens, where are you going to bring that money from, So.
Okay. That answers my questions. Does that anybody else have any questions? Fletcher?
I'm still back in the comparisons.
Which page are you on?
Page 58, the budgetary comparison schedule. The biggest item under the inflows is miscellaneous revenues.
Yeah, a huge part of that, and I don't know why it's the way that our system is set up is it's coded. A large portion of that is your bank interest, which was like $92,000.
Yeah.
Really?
But you can't bank on that, Fletcher.
Isn't that precisely what you do with?
No, it will fluctuate.
And I think if you scroll, I've looked at so many financial statements today that yes. So if you go to page 64, that will give you an even, more detailed breakdown of those revenues and those inflows on the current page that we were just on. And if you look under other income, you'll see that the interest income was $92,000, which is what's contributing to that $107,000 overage.
Right. Who do we do our banking with?
We have M&T.
And they bumped up the interest that much?
Yes, it's been amazing because
Gee, why didn't they give me that kind of interest?
when it was People's, we were only seeing $200 a month.
Well, when it was People's, the economy was flat.
But
There wasn't any interest because the Fed had us down to 0.
so, no, I'm thankful for the interest. And because of the sweep account too, and the money, right now it's paying. but, it may go down. I try not to budget, too much. It's a guessing game, Fletcher, so when we have extra money like that, thank you. It's like,
Other questions for Samantha? Comments? Everybody's read this from page 1 to page whatever.
I don't think I've read that.
I've been through it. It's positive, so I'm pleased. And thank you very much, Samantha, for working with us.
Absolutely. And if you guys have any other questions, any follow-up questions, Karen has my contact information, so don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay.
I don't always, I try to be as on top of my email as possible, but if you don't hear from me in a few days, just shoot me another email. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
You too.
All right, moving on to Selectboard Old Business. The first one is the social agency questionnaires and reports. I requested that we have these in here because we hadn't gone over them before. Has everybody had a chance to look at these? I have a couple of comments. One is that if we want to move all of the discretionary appropriations to, if we want to move any of the discretionary appropriations to a town warrant, I suggest that we move them all. So this as well. To give everybody a chance to vote things up or down. The other comment I wanted to make was there are some in here that have fairly large budgets, like the first one, and the percentage of their budget that is used to, that they've reported that serves our residents is fairly low. I also don't, which category is HC? They must be in.
They're in B.
Okay, so they're not getting quite as much of an appropriation, but, if we wanted to cut this down a little bit, I feel like those are the ones that could probably stomach the cut. There are some in here that I wouldn't be in favor of cutting, specifically the food shelf and the community center, basically anything that's in Putney. So any of the community centers, I wouldn't personally feel, I wouldn't be in favor of cutting those, but I wouldn't feel bad about taking some of the ones that aren't directly serving Putney residents out of that budget. So I'm just leaving that there. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other, but. Does anybody have any comments?
Well, I'll bring up my issue that I had the last meeting, which is Senate's, which I don't get. They seem to be more like these, is it category B, whatever, the group B agencies, and they presume to calculate their assessment in our budget, which I object to that terminology. I don't think they have the authority to assess anything against our budget, but at $3 per person, and at just the for all of the residents of Putney, and just the thinking behind your comment on, okay, what kind of service do they provide? That's the piece that's missing for me, for Senate. I don't, I'm troubled by how they're treated in the budget, but I also haven't heard the rationale. why do Putney residents derive $3 per head benefit from whatever it is that Evans does? I think they should provide a justification for that. I haven't heard it.
Okay, I mean, they did come to our select board meeting, what select board meeting was that?
I don't remember.
November, I think.
Yeah, it was probably November.
And I did send us all the website as to what they do. I mean, they're an arm of Brattleboro Development Corporation, so in essence, they're helping towns with economic development and other various things. They put on a panel of last year called Get On Board, which was trying to encourage people who hadn't been active in nonprofit and government committees to explore how they might get on those boards. That was pretty successful. They do a lot of networking in towns. I mean, I guess it's not tangible, but they do stuff that benefits Putney. I don't think that they fit in our appropriations policy, because they're not a social agency and that they're not providing. This is how I see our social agency policy. Other people may have different opinions, but the way that I see it is that places specifically like the Putney Food Shelf and Putney Community Cares are taking the place of a government function that used to be a government function. Welfare of the poorest amongst us, and people can't fend for themselves. And community centers and other things that towns used to take on. So that's how I see it. If we want to put them in our social agency appropriations, we can do that. That would be a vote of the select board. I did reach out to Meg Statlaff about how other towns do it. All towns do it in a variety of different ways. Putney's not the only one who puts it in as a line item. Brattleboro, Demerston, and another one do it that way as well. Some towns do put them in their social agency appropriations. Some towns have them vote on the floor. I'm agnostic as to how we do it. I'm just explaining how it came about.
Well, I personally don't have a single issue with any of the Group A people. They're right here in Putney doing work that benefits Putney residents.
Do we have the list somewhere in front of us?
Of which
Of
group
the
they're
Group
in?
A, Group B?
It's not here.
It's not.
Is it in here?
Do you have a town report now?
Oh, I might have that here.
Do you have a town report? The list is in
In
there.
there.
Last
It's on
year's.
mine.
On page 47. Do you want this, Peg?
Yeah, it's just helpful for me to, okay.
Can you tell us which ones are?
Okay, so Group A last year was Next Stage, Putney Community Cares, Putney Community Center, Putney Food Shelf, Putney Place. Group B was Council on Aging, Healthcare and Rehab Service, SEVCA, Visiting Nurses, and Youth Services. Now, in terms of who, we have heard from all of those people with these letters, right?
Your questionnaire,
The
and they have a
questionnaires.
report.
And
Yes.
we've heard from all of them, right? Is there anybody new that we have heard from that has been asked to be put on the warrant or?
Not yet.
No.
So I know.
Okay, so, well, that's good. So basically, what we're talking about is the one that is currently showing up as a line item And are you proposing that it move to Group B?
I think it seems to me more similar, particularly based on their claim that they are providing $3 worth of benefit per resident of Putney. That sounds sort of like what the social services agencies do.
Right, I found this
But I agree with Eileen that it's not per se a social services agency, it's a development entity.
Well, we're calling it
Right.
community services appropriation.
Yeah,
And
So
it would be a community service, it's not a social service.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a social service, it can be a community service.
So,
Are you looking at the policy?
I'm trying to find it again.
I'm pretty sure
I
that
found
we
it once
intentionally changed the name from social service and moved away from the social service agency model in order to include places like Next Stage that
and
that's
Putney
a point.
Place.
we were broadening to try to say these are not social service agencies, but they are community services. And so I don't think it has to be social service to fit in.
Yeah, Next Stage is a good point. I don't know.
I
think
don't know, I feel like if we're gonna take it out of the line item that it's in, that, we should bring it up with, but we should put it as a warrant article. And I also feel like to be fair, we also talked about the mover, and, you know, if we're trying to see how the taxpayers feel about the budget, if we take those things out of the general fund and put them to the vote, I don't know, I feel like that's more transparent. I can't find this.
Can I make
There
a
it is.
comment?
Yes.
Go ahead, continue, I can wait.
I'm gonna just read this out, because we did change it, so I don't know that we all remember what we changed. Okay, so I'm gonna read from Article 2 down. So the purpose of this policy is to establish procedures for managing community service agents' appropriations that will be voted upon at the Town of Putney annual meeting. Applicability: this policy applies to appropriation requests from community service agencies subject to the provision of Title 24, Chapter 73 of Vermont statutes annotated. The Select Board will prioritize programs that provide a significant level of direct services to marginalized members of our community. The Select Board may also choose to appropriate funding to organizations whose missions include providing public gathering space for the Putney community. So Putney, it's public gathering space, it's not necessarily community services, that's why I was looking for this policy. Procedure: the criteria for submitting a petition and or remaining on the current list are as follows. Nonprofits may petition the Select Board for community service appropriations by filling out a questionnaire and returning it by the date specified. The Select Board will determine eligibility for community service appropriations based upon the answers provided in the questionnaire. If eligible, the agency will be placed in one of two groups. Group A: Putney-based nonprofits which meet the criteria specified in Article 3. Group B: nonprofits based outside of Putney which meet the criteria specified in Article 3. Total of 2.5% of the proposed general fund and highway fund budgets will be budgeted for town contributions to community service appropriations. Total budget will be divided among the two classifications approximately as follows. Group A, 70%, Group B, 30%. All nonprofits within a classification will receive equal funding. To remain on the list for continued funding, each organization must fill out a questionnaire which will be sent to them by the town in October. In addition, each organization must submit a report for inclusion on the annual town report. Nonprofits which do not respond will not be recommended. The Select Board reserves the right to drop or add nonprofits from the proposed list to be funded. Those agencies that have been denied an appropriation or are requesting a larger appropriation must submit a petition for an article in accordance with 17 BSA 2642. So So,
Okay,
I
can
mean,
I ask Karen a question
Yeah.
about,
I have 2 comments.
Oh.
yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
what do we get reports from the mover and reports from
Yes,
Second.
Sevens?
sevens, yes, they're
Okay,
in,
okay.
in the town report.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
One comment. That policy, you need to consider rewriting it, because you mentioned nonprofits. Putney Place is a for-profit business. And I know they are community-based and they provide childcare, but they are for-profit. Number 2, Fletcher, in that intergovernmental assessment category, Wyndham Regional Commission it's an assessment per per resident.
It's also a governmental agency.
Yeah. And there's a couple other ones in there too as,
Well, it came up last time because there's some that are mixed in there that are not,
right,
that are discretionary
right. And we were gonna change
appropriations.
the
One of them is the mover and the other one was Sevets. So if we wanna move them out of that line to make it less confusing, or move them both out and create articles, or put them into the social agency policy. Put them into the appropriations for.
Or
Right.
change the name of the category and
Yes.
leave it as it is. We have that option too.
In the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a strong opinion, but I do feel strongly that if we're gonna pick on Sevets, that we should pick on the mover too. Because that's also a non-discretionary fund appropriation.
I think we should change the name and leave it in there. And that's what I.
Right, because here's the mover right here, there's their letter for request.
And this is less money than if we were to move them into the social
Right.
and the community services
Right.
appropriation. How much is the Sevens?
Sevens is like $8,106.
Okay, that's more, but the
than
mover is considered
Is that more than
less.
both? Well, that's last year's.
It's over like 1,200.
Yeah.
The movers, 1,250.
We don't have the general fund in here. What question? Ann?
Yeah, I was just wondering, would these two groups go into the group B? And since that is a set amount of money, would the other groups already there have less money?
Yes.
That's another argument against putting them in there.
8,100, that's a lot of money.
Do you want to take it out, put it in as a warrant article?
And let the voters decide on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do we want to take the mover out as well?
I don't see the vote being, that's a little money here, but that's my.
Yes.
But I get what you're
I
saying.
guess
That's
I feel like it's not,
$10,000.
it's fair, it's fair. If we're gonna
So,
pick on one, I think we
right.
should pick on both.
Let the voters decide.
Is that our feeling? We don't need to vote on that, do we? So can we, I guess we'll add 2 articles.
Sure.
One for the mover and one for, Sevets.
I can have the town clerk notify them.
Okay, we're not making a petition, we're just
Okay.
adding these articles.
All right. Let me find my articles.
Right, they might want to send somebody.
Yes.
So add mover.
Yeah, I didn't either. I thought we went into that last year. I thought they were nonprofit.
They are not a nonprofit, folks.
Okey dokey. Laura?
Thanks. I'm sorry, I was listening when list B was read off, but I didn't hear it clearly. Was groundworks on that list?
No.
Can I ask why not?
We didn't get a report from them either, so I guess they're not, have they been on the list before? Groundworks?
Yeah, we had Group A, Group B, Group C until it was restructured. And
Groundworks didn't resubmit? I don't remember seeing a report, I don't remember seeing a petition for them.
Can I interject? I'm sorry. My understanding is that they were supposed to receive a questionnaire, and I happen to know that the executive director, according to her, never did. I'm wondering if there was, in the process of switching from this new process, an organization that was missed. And this is a really important organization to our community. Putney does not have services for people that don't have housing. Groundworks ends up picking up Putney people. So I'm just going to advocate that maybe, I understand that the town report is done, but if this was a miss, I'm going to advocate that somebody connects with Groundworks and tries to rectify this and adds it as an insert to the town report. I'm sure that they'd be able to get you a report.
Karen? Thank you, Laura. Karen?
I would recommend that we look at the past minutes to see what the board voted on.
Oh, it should be, so last year they weren't in there either.
Were they in the C group?
If they were in the C group, then they would, but everybody in the C group was supposed to have gotten a petition, a request for petition last year. Because that was the whole point. The point was that we were gonna eliminate the group C and determine which ones went into group B.
I'll have to check
Okay.
in the office.
I don't remember. I don't remember what happened with Groundworks here, so it'd be good to get.
Well, I know we never got one because I'm pretty sure we would have put them in there if they had sent one.
Okay. Well, okay, so this was last year.
Yeah,
Okay,
last year was the year that, I think last year was the first year was
The
the
restructuring.
restructuring.
Right, and Groundworks is not in here. So one question is, if Groundworks wants in here this year, how do we make sure that happens? How do we make that happen?
Well, we reserve the right to add or delete nonprofits. We don't necessarily have to go through a process. That's what we've written here. Select Board reserves the right to drop or add nonprofits from the proposed list to be funded. Or I guess that sounds like there's already a list, but.
But this list doesn't go to, when does this list go to the voters? In what capacity, and when is?
It's in the budget.
Yes.
But it's not in the budget by organization,
It's a line item in the budget.
but it's
For
not
total amount.
for the total amount, but it
Yes.
doesn't say anything about which organizations are going to receive the funding.
It's right there in that town report. So those listed are the ones that would get an appropriation.
In the coming year.
Correct.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to look and see, was there something in some decision that we made about Groundworks not being in this list?
I vaguely remember, but I want to be certain, so I am not gonna, I want to see the minutes
Okay,
because it should be stated in the minutes. I do have some recollection, but
okay, So if we go back to the minutes, we don't find any reason why we intentionally did not fund them, but it was a falling through the cracks thing. How do we close the crack and
Well,
get that?
I want to push back a little bit. These are requests for funding, so I understand that, you know, Groundworks was maybe expecting a questionnaire, but they can also contact us and get one. So I'm not sure there's a crack on our side. It's not our responsibility to send potential funding sources, funding appropriation, nonprofits a questionnaire to get money. That's a function on both ends. So I just want to point that out, because I mean I get that people are expecting certain things, but there's communication on both sides. So I mean, if we want to add them in there, we can add them in there. Again, if we add them in there, all the other ones go down.
Right. It is my sense that Groundworks should be included in this list, based on the services that they provide for our community. I would agree with Laura on that. So I don't know how they fell off the list.
Okay, I agree in principle, but I also agree that we have a process here, and the process is that if you don't get on the list, you petition. So, I guess I'm not going to lay all the responsibility on our town hall for not getting the appropriate paperwork yet. Laura, you have a comment?
Yeah, thanks. I just want to clarify that it's I'm kind of muddying waters. I'm speaking for myself. I don't know that I don't think that Groundworks expected anything from you. When I read the policy myself, I assumed that that would mean that they would get a questionnaire, because it says that past recipients would get a questionnaire. So it sounds like where my confusion came into play is that you only were sending questionnaires to list B in the former,
Yes.
and Groundworks may have been on list C. In which case, you're right, Eileen, they should petition, and I've muddied the waters a little bit here. I would like to advocate that I think that as far as an organization and the services they provide, they really should receive some priority here, but that's just my own personal opinion. And
I would personally agree. I don't want to skip. I'm wary of skipping over a process of a formal process that we have.
Okay.
it sounds like it was totally my misunderstanding of it's not clear between the two policies how that shifted.
Well, I'll explain it, because here it is.
Okay.
Back on December 13th last year, Community Service Agencies Group B review. Select Board reviewed applications from Group B, which were formerly Group B and C. Nate Snell made a motion to remove agencies formerly in Group C from the social agency appropriation, and Eric McGowan seconded the motion. Motion passed.
And then we gave them, some of those agencies petitioned last year. Well, it doesn't say it in the minutes, but they did. So Grace Cottage petitioned,
Right.
Another one petitioned, Bike Project, yeah.
Yeah.
The other one?
Yeah, there was.
Oh, and they got it
So
at a
they-
town meeting,
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and so some of them got stuff and some of them didn't. Go ahead.
This is just a question. You said the petition request went out in October. Was there a deadline
I think it's October
for submitting?
1st, yeah.
And are we past it? I guess it's,
We're definitely past
you're
it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like December, they're due.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just, Laura, can you make sure that Groundworks is aware that they can petition to us to fund them for the next round?
They are aware. Again, it was my confusion over process. I had questioned whether or not they needed to petition, and not having heard back on a few things, I had thought that they had ended up on the list. So it was my confusion. They're aware that they need to petition, and I will go out and get all those signatures myself.
Okay. Okay. All right. Where are we in this process? Sorry, I've gotten lost.
Okay, that's that.
So Putney
I guess-
Place, what,
Um,
how are you gonna handle that?
That's a tough one. Is there for a profit?
do we know that for a fact?
Yeah, I believe, Kim? Kim, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, guest.
I'm pretty sure that research was done. If you go to the state website,
Yeah.
and look up business, they are registered, you know.
Well, they could be registered and still be a nonprofit.
Yeah. I don't know if Rachel can look that up for
They
us.
are on the IRS
Yep.
website.
Because it looks the Sweet Spot Cafe is that.
Hi, I'm sorry. I just figured out how to unmute.
Oh. Kim, do you recall, did you, research Putney Place?
Well, I collected W-9s from everybody. So yes.
So they
What
are,
was the question?
The question is, are we certain that Putney Place is not a nonprofit?
At the time this year, when I got the W-9, it was checked off as a sole proprietor. So yes, it was a for-profit. I have to give them a 1099, not a, yeah. I've asked advice too, so I've been told I have to issue them a 1099.
and just so you're aware, folks, that is because of the ARPA
Yeah.
funding.
We did put them in so that they could receive ARPA funding.
Yep.
That was the
Yeah,
last.
and this is that's what triggered this for the treasurer to, you know, do all that paperwork.
What do you mean we put them in so they could receive?
We added them last year as Group A because our ARPA fund policy specifically restricted funds to organizations in Putney in Group A.
Right.
Are ARPA funds restricted?
Remember when,
Oh,
because when we were receiving applications, we restricted it to government agencies and agencies in Putney that were in our Group A.
right,
The social agency
Right.
policy.
right,
And they were not in it at the time and they were asking for ARPA money.
okay,
Right.
okay.
And so we made a decision at that point that they belonged in Group A. At some point in the process.
Right.
You're gonna ask me when? I don't know.
Right,
Now we're discovering that they're not a nonprofit.
right.
So nobody realized that at the time of their funds?
Apparently not. And
Oh, no, I'm losing my train of thought, but I think at the very end, you added on groups that were not in Group A, like Pierce's Hall, to get some ARPA money. Was that not true?
Spears' fault.
They did get.
Which meant that, in fact, you probably could have decided, even though they were for-profit, that they belonged in Group,
A.
that they
Okay,
warranted
I'm
some
not
money.
entirely sure what the journey was to
Yeah,
get
no,
into
no,
Group A, but
Craig had some
but-
very clear criteria, and at the very, very end, one of the criteria was not followed, which was
That's
funding a staff person for requirements were gonna go on and on and on into the future.
Yeah,
And then you said, well, if we've broken that criteria,
that's right,
then Pierce's Hall can get some money for a heating
that's right.
unit. So I don't know where that leaves you. The criteria worked until the very, very end. And then a couple exceptions were made. But they were in from jump as a member of Group A.
Okay. Well, fortunately, these policies are not state statute, so we're not breaking any laws. We're just breaking our own policies.
These are yours.
I don't know what people want to do about that. I'd like to actually confirm that they are in fact and not.
Looks like Katie's right online. Josh is.
Josh or Katie?
Hi.
Hi.
No, you can't talk. Sorry.
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Guys, that there's something came up about the Putney place, so I joined.
We're wondering whether you're a nonprofit.
We are not a nonprofit, no.
Okay, that's the answer. So what do you want to do about this?
I guess it doesn't fall in that category. I mean, we can't, that opens up a whole can of worms.
It does.
We could have we could open ourselves big time. So,
Katie, we're talking about the social service or the community service, what do we call them? Appropriations. And our policy states that those are people in Group A need to be nonprofits. So we're coming to face the reality that you have, Putney Place has been in that category, but they don't meet the criteria. So
that's what we're grappling with.
Yeah.
So our applicability doesn't say anything about nonprofits, for what it's worth. But then when we get down into procedure, we say that it's Putney-based nonprofits which meet the criteria specified in Article 3.
That's pretty clear.
So what does the select board want to do?
At the town meeting, I mean, how much money are we talking about?
Do you want to make them petition as well? If they want to receive?
Oh, that's a good idea.
I
That's a good idea.
suspect they would get signatures as well.
Um,
sure they could
Laura
fill
has her hand up.
Laura?
That's actually a great suggestion, but I was also going to add that I think and I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think that you have it as nonprofit or community places of community gathering. And I believe that what Katie's doing can fall under that.
So the way that we're reading this though, so in the applicability section that we've got, we don't say anything about nonprofits. But then under the procedures, we specifically say that it's Putney-based nonprofits. So that's what we're grappling with. I agree. But again, I feel like we need to follow our processes here.
You came up with a good solution.
Okay. Heather, go ahead.
I'm just wondering that even if they petition, that doesn't make them a nonprofit. So is it worth having them repetition?
They can petition for appropriations as a nonprofit or a for-profit. That's not a criteria. It's just a criteria for us.
And anyone can, for that matter.
Yeah.
Would they still come under this community services, or are they petitioning independent of this?
If they were to petition, they could either petition, well, They could petition to be under this, or they could petition to raise a certain amount of money.
It'd be a voted article, and then it would increase your budget, and it would be paid out, in the next fiscal year. It'd be a one-time.
They could petition it either way. They could say that they want to be part of this, in which case we put them in the appropriations part for there. Or they can petition to say we want, $8,000 or $10,000 or $30,000 or whatever they
Right,
put on the petition.
right.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this for the previous year, or are we talking about the upcoming year?
We're talking about the upcoming year.
Okay.
So we're talking about possibly making you petition for the appropriation for social, petition for an appropriation rather than sticking you into our social agency line because we've discovered that you don't quite fit the criteria.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Sure. So is that what we want to do? Okay, I think we do require a vote for that. So can I hear Can I hear a motion to remove Putney Place from the social agency line item for the upcoming fiscal year?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to remove the Putney Place from the social agency line item for the coming fiscal year. Is there further discussion among the board? Are there more comments in the room? Are there more comments online? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So Katie, petitions are due. When are petitions due again?
Do you have your timeline?
No.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have one, but
Here it is. I have
do you have it?
it, yeah. I don't know where. Oh, 120,
120?
last day for filing supplementary petitions.
No, it's the day before. So
Oh,
it's
116, last day to
116.
file with town clerk, petition signed by at least 5% of the voters for articles to be included in town meeting warning.
Okay.
So by
So-
the 16th, Katie.
Okay, so if
You're muted.
You're muted. So so if you contact JJ, he can get you set up with the process and how many voters you need, and I'm sure that the town will rally and get you some signatures. I get the feeling that was a bit of a reluctant vote on the select board's part.
That's okay. Guys coming up with a really great solution, and yeah, that's totally fine. We'll get working on that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there more that we need to discuss on that question? Are we good with the rest of them? So we're gonna move Seveds and the mover to the town warrant. We've removed Putney Place from the social agency line, and the rest of them are gonna stay for this year. Right? Yes? Okay. Moving on to the town meeting warning, draft 2.
All right.
It gets us every time that
That's
Every-
so
we thought we fixed it. All right. Has everybody had a chance to look this over?
I thought Meg was gonna.
Oh,
She's
Meg.
here.
She is here, good.
Meg, did you have some words of wisdom?
Well, unfortunately, now I'm feeling very foolish. I don't think I got a copy. I mean, oh wait, I know I talked to Karen about making some changes for Article 1, the first couple of articles.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any substantive about anything else I've seen so far. I gather that you're still in the drafting process?
Yeah.
We are. Did you get the most recent one?
No.
Let me just double check.
Karen says you did not.
No.
All right.
Not that I'm aware
But it's on the website,
of. Okay.
in the packet.
So things that we've added beyond the normal stuff is Article 8 is asking the town if we want to break up the property tax payments into 4 payments rather than 3. Establish a fund, a fire and EMS capital reserve fund.
Can we just hold on for one quick second? So where can the website looks great. I'm just having a slightly hard time.
Okay, so if you go to Selectboard, can you find Selectboard?
Under government?
Sorry. Live, work, play. Winter parking ban?
Nope. That's important, but not where we want to be.
Yeah.
So up top on the menu.
Oh, here we go. Putney Selectboard.
Okay, and then under there should be agendas and minutes. Drop down, I think.
Gosh.
Okay, agendas, documents, minutes. Is that it?
There should be, under documents, there should be a meeting packet for this meeting.
Meeting packet. Yes, thank you for your help on this.
Halfway down through that,
Yeah.
or possibly more.
It's opening up now as we speak.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this is where I found the agenda for tonight. And you have the warrant here too?
It should be in there. If you're looking at the same thing that we are. It's just a little bit, it's further, it's past all the appropriation questionnaires.
Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't know about this ahead of time. I could have been more prepared. I'm at the questionnaires, community service, senior solutions. Oh my goodness. Okay, I found it. Great. And I see that Karen has removed Article 3.
Yeah.
And 4, you could still have to hear the reports and just get rid of and act upon. It's really just the and act upon language that doesn't make sense. So Article 4 could still say to hear the reports of the town officers. I'm sorry, it's striked out, so I can't really read it.
Yeah, that's what it says. Does that imply that we're there to hear the town report, or is that more about like when Mike Murky comes up, or?
It is to draw the voters' attention to the reports within the town report itself.
Yeah, the budgets and.
It also gives them the opportunity to beat up on the town
Right.
officers if they
If they
feel
want, do we want?
or
yeah.
praise them, you know, if you
Well,
think that
I would recommend Article 4 to read to hear the reports of the town officers. End of story. Just don't, the and act upon is confusing.
Okay,
All right.
to hear the reports.
Yep.
Okay, so
And
just
which
take a,
town officers?
all of
the
us.
foreman of the road crew, you know,
Right.
that's when you get to say, you did a great job with the snow plowing, but I hate the potholes, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So are those town officers going to be there?
You should
Some
be.
of them will be there.
They usually are. I mean, this is not new language. This is language that has been there since I've been town moderator. I just have always wondered why it says an act upon.
Okay.
And you're right, it makes no sense, Meg. It's a dumb thing because you don't.
Yeah, so I just want to like clean it up a little.
Okay, and we're gonna deprive.
Trying to impress the former Westminster moderator.
Right. We're depriving everybody of their opportunity to point out all the spelling mistakes in the town report.
Yeah, it's just an opportunity for voters.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. That was my favorite part.
But,
Okay,
I mean, Article 8,
so Article 8 is the first, first kind of interesting
Real
one.
business.
I mean, I guess we're trying to buy a truck before that, so that could generate some discussion.
I might move the order.
Let's see. Article 11 is another, we tried this a couple of years ago, to rescind the vote from March 4th, 2014 on alternative energy sources.
mhm,
And then last year, I don't know if you recall that we had an article on local options tax, and that year we lumped them all together as one big article. This year they're in 3 separate ones, so we're giving people the opportunity to authorize 1% on meals and alcoholic beverages, rooms and sales.
mhm, mhm. Great.
And then the last one is asking the voters whether they'd like to designate the 50 acres on Route 5 as a conservation site.
Great.
Looks good. And it sounds like you may have some petitions, but we won't know about that until.
Oh, yep. Well, we're gonna also add Sevitz and
The mover.
the mover to the as articles as well,
Okay.
as separate articles. And yeah, it sounds like we'll have at least one, if not two, social agency appropriation petitions.
We may
Okay.
have some non-binding also.
Have we heard any rumblings of
Not
that?
yet.
Okay.
They come in the last minute.
Yeah, but we usually hear about them going
Well,
around town. People collecting signatures.
This all looks good to me. And as we get a little bit closer, then if a specific select board person is going to be discussing a specific article, that's useful for me, but
Okay. Also, I think we were. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted you again.
oh, no problem. I said I don't have any other questions.
Okay. I think we were discussing possibly having some kind of informational session before town meeting.
yes.
As if we had COVID and we were doing it on Zoom?
Well, the questions that got generated last year on the local options tax, I guess I'm feeling more confident that I know the answers to those questions, but I feel like if we had more exposure to those articles, we could answer questions at an informational meeting as well, and then be even more prepared for the actual town meeting vote.
Yeah.
And also get,
Get the
inform
vote.
people that we're actually, that it's on the article, on the warning.
So if you were to have such an informational meeting, it really would be specifically about those 1% taxes.
Probably, unless, I don't know, what else?
I mean, I think the advantage to doing that, and I'm curious what other people have to say, but if it turns into an informational meeting about the entire, I think we'll just go through the same questions and some people come to some and some won't come to the others. So
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
All right. We haven't come up with a date. We're finalized that we're actually doing that. It was just in discussion that it might be a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Meg as our moderator? Anyone online have any questions for Meg? Town meeting's coming up. Yay! Anybody in the room? Okay.
and I gather that we're going to have better sound this year.
Yes.
I hope so. Otherwise I quit.
Yeah.
We
That was
have,
not, that was,
I gather from is it Rebecca or Rachel?
Rachel.
Sorry, Rachel said that it looks like we've got a good sound system. And yeah, that was my big, I'm looking at my notes from last year and it's like, help, please.
Yeah, that was challenging. Okay.
Great, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what do we think about these so far?
Do we have a policy that backs up this new fire department EMS capital reserve fund? Have we passed a policy
Do
that
we have one for the
says how
highway?
that fund gets managed?
We do have one for the highway.
So we probably ought to do that for the,
I
Yeah,
can
it'd
do
be
it.
Good to have it in place before we start
okay,
moving money.
yeah.
We're just creating it right now.
That's what you do with a policy.
Would you like to start one? Draft one?
I'd be happy to look at whatever you have.
Alright. It won't take me long.
Good.
We should be able to take what we have for the highway and,
It's exactly what I'm gonna do.
yeah, okay.
And I can tell you, yeah, basically it's just the language in that article is, you know, where that's gonna be the bulk of the policy and, where the money will come from to move into that reserve.
And could that be a place not just funded out of the budget, but that people could make donations to?
I don't know about that. Although we did do a fundraising for the pool. I have some ideas. I will put them on paper and then we can go over it.
Good.
Because we definitely need to build a reserve fund specific for emergency services.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yes.
It's been a gap in our budgeting
Yeah.
for a long time.
The other thing too is, and we discussed this in the last meeting, was revenue streams, because I've taken out 15,500 just for the department because it wasn't coming in. So instead of leaving it in there and inflating that number and being in a lower, profit, not profit, I don't wanna say profit, surplus or fund balance position at the end of the year, I took it out. And that doesn't help, but we are talking, we do have some ideas, so, once they get into play, I think it's gonna be much better. But certain streams should go into this reserve fund. And I can,
Like I was wondering about the money that the Firefighters Association is putting in. I realize those are specific to a couple of things. Seems like if that money was going to be sitting around for a while and it came to us, it would be appropriate to park it in the reserve fund.
so that money, the 12,000 that was contributed, is sitting in a special public safety fund. It's a 330 fund, and that money's been going in there. So if it's associated, it's coming from the association or associated with emergency services.
What's that fund? Where is it held and who's got authority over it? I don't know what the reference to 330 reserve fund is.
It was established for contributions from the schools to offset the fire station bond.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, I have not seen many policies on these funds that we have.
That's troubling me.
Well,
I think, what the rules for using that money should be laid out clearly, so.
I totally agree with you, Fletcher,
Yeah, that's something
and
that
we're in a different, management here, and So we're picking them off one by one. So if you have a preference of which one you'd like to, work on, let me know.
As I said, I'd be happy to look at what you want to send.
Yeah. But we're starting to pull things together and be a little more proficient and have policy, because in my mind, for the next person, I don't want them sitting there reinventing the wheel like we've had to do
Going back
since
to the minutes.
2018.
Well, I mean, it's just, we ought to do it. I mean, if we can get tied up in whether we can repair our sidewalks or not, we really ought to clarify our policies and be consistent with them. That we have policies for all of these reserve funds. So
Right.
people know if they put money into it, what's it going to get expended on.
Right. I mean, we created the sidewalk policy because there wasn't one.
Because there wasn't one, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's
You
the
know?
thing, is if we can do it for a sidewalk, we sure as heck ought to be able to do it for the fire station.
There was, this is new. There's never been a reserve fund for emergency services.
I know, and
So-
that's been a serious oversight for a long time.
Okay,
Very
so
yeah.
it's on the warrant. Theoretically, we assume that it's gonna pass. So once it passes, the policy is more important. And I agree that we should be writing at least memorandums about how minutes or things are happening in town meetings so that we don't have to go back to 1974 town meeting minutes to discover how a fund was established.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
So Kim Monroe went back with all the articles, put them in one document, and I shared it with the board. So
Yep.
if you look in there,
Those are the articles, not the minutes though.
yeah, well, that's another whole different.
I'm just saying, we've had this
Yeah.
discussion before.
Yeah.
We're working, we have been working on it to
We
get,
are
to
working
get
on
ourselves
it.
up to
Yep.
date, but
But take a
Yes.
look at that document, because I scanned it too, and I'm like going, wow, I'm like, we should be, we voted on things. The community voted.
Yeah.
And,
and then we went on our merry way.
mhm.
Yeah.
So I think we should revisit and, pluck some things out and do like what we were gonna say, do what we said we were gonna do.
Yep.
But, there's a lot there. So. And
Okay.
You're only 5 people, and I'm 1, so.
Yes, there's work to be done and we have made good progress.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
back on the town warning though, are there other comments, questions, additions, changes, deletions? We add 2 more articles, we'll be up to 17, if I count correctly.
Plus you might have one from Putney
So that'll be
Place.
18, yeah. We might have another from Groundworks.
Correct.
So,
16, 17, 18, 19. It is what it is, right?
right, and the numbers might change. So,
Yeah.
good with the order, good with this so far? Anybody in the room have any comments? Anybody online? Have any comments about the draft warning? Okay, moving on to operating budgets. We were supposed to go and look at the general fund, operating budgets, general fund and highway fund, and come back with any questions or comments. So I guess we've already made one change. We've taken out the 2 discretionary appropriations from the assessment line item, right?
Right, so I'll have to change the,
I guess we've also made a change to the social agency line, wherever that is.
it's not in your packet, it's in the, it's a separate document.
No, it's here.
Page
59,
35.
Page 35.
But it's a line item,
It
yes.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
We'll be changing the line item.
Yes.
To the social stuff.
Because we took out Putney Place. Oh, no,
But
we
that
won't.
doesn't change
No, we
anything.
won't. It doesn't change anything. It's
Right,
just
it's
a
still a
bigger pot for
percentage.
everybody
Right,
else.
the pot just,
Never mind.
Yeah.
I always forget that. Okay. That's why we have these meetings. Okay. Anybody had any comments or questions or changes to the operating budgets? We're still at 3 cents.
we are still at 3 cents.
Okay.
I mean, so the increase was $236,227.11, which is 12.94%. I don't see where I could trim anywhere.
I guess the question for the board is, are we comfortable with that increase, or do we want to direct Karen to give a percentage off? Or bring it up with the voters?
So the increase of 236,000, offsetting that with 100,000, you know, the increase is $136,227.11.
Okay.
I don't, like I said, I don't really, I can trim a little, but I don't know if it's gonna make a big difference.
Sure.
So,
I'm just putting it out there that we can we can, there's, percentages, we're gonna bring this budget before the town and they can give us a number too, so.
it could increase too on the
It could.
floor, so.
Yeah.
Just be prepared.
It sometimes does.
Yeah.
Are you doing math?
I was.
Okay.
So, I mean, ironically, on the second page of the budget notes, and we talked about the insurance, and if we paid just the employee portion,
yeah.
we would save $117,287, and we would be almost at a level budget at that point.
Right.
So,
But we probably lose people too.
I'm not sure I'm prepared to make that change with the medical rate yet until I want to research a couple different alternatives. And play with some percentages. If it was 100% employee and maybe 60% the other way, I don't know what those numbers look like right now. I'd have to sit. And figure that out a little bit. Medical insurance too also is calendar year, it's not fiscal year. So that's sometimes challenging because you don't know how much it's going to increase in that second half.
Yeah.
what's hard to sit here and have all these other organizations come to us and make their arguments about why they need to raise their rates and why we need to pay, pay more for the sheriff's department or for, other services, and they're making their case that it's insurance and it's keeping employees and,
Right.
and then, I mean, we have the same, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
We can't say, oh yeah, we recognize that and we'll up our payments there and then turn around and take it out of our own employees. That just doesn't.
And the flip side too, to the board, and cannot forget this, that if we can create revenue, it would offset some of these expenses, right? So that's a bigger picture and a bigger challenge,
Right.
knowing what that big number is for property tax exemptions at $887,000. Because if you had a piece of that, we could, it would lower that amount to be raised, and that would help a lot.
Yeah.
So we just gotta keep working at it.
Okay, so are we good with this budget as is so far? Yeah.
So the highway budget, water, sewer, and the library, I'm completely 100% satisfied with.
Okay.
I just want to take one last look at that general fund.
Okay.
I always do this every year. I gotta look at it one more time.
That's okay.
What can I do? But
I should get it right.
yeah, well, it won't always be right.
Well,
or perfect. It's got to be close.
It should be
And-
something we're all comfortable with.
Right. And I haven't heard any comments, so.
I mean, everything that we've talked about so far seems reasonable to me. The places where, we're talking about insurance, like Peg said, we can't really, we can do lots of things, but we might end up shooting ourselves in the foot if we do them, so.
Right.
And I do feel that the answer at this point in time is finding other sources of revenue.
Right, and I'd like to see what's gonna happen with the state education tax rate for the next fiscal year, see if that's gonna help taxpayers as well.
We'll see.
Yeah, well, I'm being optimistic
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that.
Okay, so I think any comments in the online about the operating budgets? Still a work in progress. All right, moving on to the fund balancing policy draft. So we asked you to come back and put the 90 days in here specifically, as opposed to what it was before, it was
Right.
24% with no the 90 days.
So I had Samantha look at this too,
Okay,
and she's satisfied with it.
okay.
Kim and I pulled this together. Basically, it's a template from VLCT,
Mhm.
and with Samantha's comments, I'm good with this. I mean, this is the policy right here for your fund balances,
Right,
which we never had one.
so now we
Or
are
you
about
will
to
have one.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, so the auditors looked at it, we made it more clear about the 90 days.
Right.
Do we have any other discussion about this?
So I just want to comment too, Eileen, that, so in the objective, right? So number one, right, it says, when the town's fund balance exceeds 30,000. Number two, when the fund balance falls below 12%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 30%, 12%. Those are the trigger numbers where we have to do something, all right? So it can be anywhere else, so 24%, is a 90-day, that's a safety net.
Yeah.
And then anything over it, you can decide, if you wanna offset taxes or, the highway we lost.
Put it somewhere in a fund or, yeah,
Yeah, so,
use it to purchase a truck or something, yeah.
right.
Go ahead.
When it says current operating budget, is that the $2 million figure in the proposed budget? What's the number that the percentage is being derived from?
So that is your operating budget for your general fund and your highway, so it's a total number.
So it's the 2 million plus the.
Plus the
It's not the
highway.
proposed number
Plus
though, it's the
highway.
number that the auditor, right?
Well, it's based off of
It's the 2
your,
million plus the
your budget.
1.3.
So whatever budget that is passed at town meeting,
Yeah,
that's where those
Yeah.
numbers come from.
okay. Sorry if I tried to talk to you.
And it's general fund plus highway.
Yes.
Okay, so in this budget, it's the 2 million plus the 1.3. Okay.
Yeah.
Good with it? Anybody online have any comments about the fund balance policy? Just basically outlining what we hope to do to offset taxes for this year.
That's great.
Then can I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
You have to make the motion.
I move that we accept the fund balance policy.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to accept the fund balance policy. Is there further discussion among the board? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so do you have something that's not draft?
I don't, but I can grab one quickly.
All right, so the next piece is all the select board reports. Nate reported that he had nothing new to say. Does anybody have anything new to say on here? No? No? Okay. Next up is public comments on items not on the agenda. Are there any public comments not on the agenda, online? There is no public in the room. Okay, then moving on to, we are going to have an executive session to talk about community service and town report dedication. I don't have the BSA that would go under.
I don't think there isn't one that really fits that, folks.
No, there isn't.
No.
We all just fudge that one.
Yeah.
We just
We're
keep our
doing it
mouths
in-
shut
we're
is
doing-
what.
We're doing it in secret because we want it to be a surprise.
Yep.
Okay.
It's the
still
surprise
feel-
clause. in
Well, okay,
Open meeting law.
Yeah, that one's just so weird.
that's a little bit messy. I would like to have a VSA.
I just would like to get sued over that.
Okay, fine.
Because I like to be
He's got
standing
it
in front
on
of the judge
record,
saying,
okay. We were
We're trying to honor somebody.
Okay, all right. Living dangerously. All right, so before we go into executive session, we're going, the next meeting date is January 13th, which is a special meeting, right?
Well, here's my question. You're not here on the 22nd.
I'm not here on the 22nd, but it sounded like we had a quorum.
Right. So they can vote on these budgets on the 22nd, or we can have a special meeting with you in it. We can do it then too if we're comfortable.
I mean, so the 22nd is the very last day that we can have a vote, right? In order to get the warning in, that was my impression.
So here's the thing, yes.
Yeah.
Well, so
Why
the
don't-
warning doesn't have to be, the latest it has to be posted is February 2nd.
That's pushing it.
Yes.
So I feel like we should have another meeting between now and the last time that we can,
Okay.
regardless
Sure.
of whether I'm gonna be here.
Sure.
That's my feeling. I don't have to be at either meeting, I don't care. I do care, but I do feel that the board should meet again before the very last second. So
Mm-hmm.
could be that you guys meet on the 22nd, and if there's questions, then we call another meeting on the next week after that. Or we can meet on the 13th, and
13th doesn't work for me.
13th doesn't work for you. So do you want to scratch that and meet on
Well, I
the
don't have to be
22nd?
here
And
either if you guys are here. Is what it is. If it's just one person missing.
there's
I can be here the 22nd.
Yeah, because I had 4 people, that's why I chose the 13th.
Gotcha. I mean, there's always illness, so it's
Right.
it's a little iffy, right?
To get three
Right.
of us here
To
on the
get-
22nd? Is that what we're saying?
You're here again.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm here, I'm
So
back.
theoretically, we have 4 people on the 22nd. So all we need is 3.
I think we're good. I think we can
Okay.
Pull it off.
we can pull it off.
If we can't, then we're gonna have a special meeting on the 29th.
Right,
All right.
that's
So
reasonable.
we've decided we're not meeting on the 13th. Is that what we've decided?
Unless you want to.
I
I
don't
can't be
need.
there.
I don't need to.
So have a meeting if you want.
Okay.
No,
No?
I think we should not have a meeting on the
Okay.
13th.
So scratch the 13th. We're not meeting on the 13th. We're having a regularly scheduled meeting on the 22nd. And fun things will happen then. So can I hear a motion to go into executive session to discuss the community service and town report dedication?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, we're inviting Karen and
Not making a public decision.
we're not making a public decision until town meeting.
Right, right.
All right. Thank you, everyone.